The second way I'm going to show you how to factor is factoring trinomials. Now we've had problems that have looked like this. Right, and we have distributed twice to get down to an answer like this. Right. So we're going to go kind of like we did with the greatest common factor, we're going to go backwards. We're going to be given this trinomial. It's a trinomial because it has 3 terms, and we want to turn it into 2 binomials like this. To do that, we have several steps here. First thing we have to make sure is that it's in standard form, which means it goes from highest exponent to least. Then we want to multiply our a and our c term. Our a is the number that's attached to the x squared. The c is the number that's by itself. So after we find a times c, that's going to give us a number. We need to find 2 numbers that add up to be that number, and they add up to be the b value, or the middle number. Okay. Now the signs here are important. If it is a positive or a plus before your c, that means both of your numbers that you're adding together should be a negative, if this is a minus sign. If the sign before c is a minus sign, whatever this sign is, whatever the sign before the bx is, that means that your bigger numbers in your list should be positive. Okay, we'll talk more about that once we get to it. After we have multiplied and found 2 numbers that add up, that multiplied to give you a and c and add to give you b, you're going to make 2 fractions. On the top of the fraction, you're going to put your a value. On the bottom, you put the 2 numbers that you just came up with. Reduce the fractions if possible. Then the fractions are going to go into 2 binomials. The top number will have an x beside it. The bottom number stays by itself. Now let's clear things up by doing an example. So my first step is make sure it's in standard form, which it is. My next step is to multiply 4 times 15. 4 times 15 is 60. So I want to find all terms that multiply together to give me 60. So it would be 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10. Alright, now look at your signs. Since there's an addition in the back, that means that these numbers all have to be the same sign. And to determine what that sign is, you look at the sign in front of the 23. Since it's a negative sign, that means we want all of these values to be negative. Alright. Then we want to look to see which numbers add up to give me a negative 23. So if I do negative 1 plus negative 60, that gives me negative 63, so that doesn't work. If I do negative 2 minus 32, that's negative 32, that doesn't work. If I do negative 3 minus 20, that gives me negative 23. So these are the 2 numbers that I want to use. So to make the fractions, you want your a value on top, and you want to use the 2 numbers we just circled below. So we have a negative 3 and a negative 20. You have to look to reduce. 4 over negative 3 does not reduce. 4 over 20 does. We can divide both of them by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. So now these fractions we're going to turn into a binomial. You put your top number first, and the top number always goes with an x. So it becomes 4x minus 3. And then my second fraction is 1 over negative 5, so that becomes 1x minus 5. if you multiplied that out, if you distributed twice, you would get back to the 4x squared minus 23x plus 15. So for our second example, it's already in standard form, so I need to multiply 12 times 3, which gives me 36. Then I want to list all factors of 36, which would be 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. Right, once again, look at your signs. Since there's a subtraction in the back, that means I have to have one positive, one negative in this list. To tell which is positive, which is negative, you look at the sign of B again. Since the sign of B is plus, or your middle sign is a plus, that means your bigger numbers have to be positive, so all smaller numbers are going to be negative. Then I need to go through and see which ones add up to give me positive 9. Negative 1 plus 36 is not 9. Negative 2 plus 18 is 16. Negative 3 plus 12 is 9, so that's the one I want to use. So to make my fractions, my first number goes on top. My bottom numbers are negative 3 and 12. I can reduce 12 over 3. They're both divisible by 3, so it would be 4 over negative 1. And 12 over 12 reduces to 1 over 1. Okay. So, to turn it into a binomial, we have 4x minus 1, and 1 over 1 becomes 1x plus 1. Go ahead and pause the video and do the first you try. The first thing you're going to do is 4 times negative 3, which is negative 12. Right. Factors of negative 12 would be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. To see your signs, you have a negative sign in the middle, so it's negative 4x, which means you want all your bigger values to be negative. Look for ones that add up to be negative 4, which would be 2 minus 6. 4 goes on top of your fraction. 2 and negative 6 on the bottom. I can reduce 4 over 2 to 2 over 1. I can reduce 4 over negative 6 to 2 over negative 3. So that would give me the binomials 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 3. And the final you try. I do 4 times negative 2. Gives me negative 8. So factors of negative 8 are 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Right. To look at my signs, since it's negative 8, I need one positive, one negative. My sign in the middle is a positive, so that means my bigger numbers need to be positive. So I want to use negative 1 and 8. This gives me 4 over negative 1, 4 over 8. I can't reduce 4 over 1. 4 over 8 does reduce to 1 over 2 if you divide top and bottom by 4. Turn it into binomial, it would be 4x minus 1 and 1x plus 2.